Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
I am good. I'm trying to pet a cat while holding it at bay because he really wants to walk on top of my keyboard.
No, we can't have that because then you might accidentally log off the podcast.
Yes, that has happened before.
So, okay. Well, um, this episode, oh my God, it's heavy in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. But we'll get into it. So, welcome to Goodnight, Mr. Holmes, a podcast about the Granada Sherlock Holmes, which ran on ITV in the UK between 1984 and 1994, ran on Masterpiece Mystery in the US around the same time. I'm Laura.
And I'm Rachel.
Today, we are looking at episode 41 in the series called The Cardboard Box.
The story was first published in The Strand in 1893.
1893. Okay, that's helpful. This is the final episode of the show, and we'll be taking a bit of a hiatus before returning with new content.
We'll call it season 2 of our podcast.
I don't know. I mean, we'll have to talk about this, but we might have to change the name.
We'll confuse at least one of the subscribers, I promise you.
Yes, at least one, right? So, Jeremy Brett apparently came to rehearsals for this episode attended by a nurse.
Wow.
Plus, he could only film on alternate days, which wreaked havoc with the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after filming, he was back in a mental hospital where, ironically, he could not watch his final performance as Holmes because the other patients wanted to see something else. Yeah, you might be Jeremy Brett out there, but in here, you're just another one of us. But he looks really good here.
Yeah, he does, actually.
He's back to being slender and angular without as much pancake makeup on his face. I was like, he looks elegant.
Yeah, and he seems a bit more energetic.
He does. He does. And all this time, I did not know until reading today, Edward Hardwicke has been wearing a wig.
Oh,
it was never his own hair. And he referred to the wig as Roland the Rat.
I love it.
Yes. So after the opening credits, a carriage is pulling around past a bunch of children, racing and laughing in the street. So festive atmosphere. The carriage is decorated with flowers. The woman in it is carrying a bouquet and wearing a veil. So it's a bride and groom.
Yeah, she's wearing sort of an off-white dress.
Yeah.
The idea of wearing a white dress for a wedding came about in the 19th century because Victoria wore a white dress for her wedding. Prior to that, the bride just wore her best dress, whatever the color was.
Right. And actually in the US, like in the 1960s, there was kind of a reversion back to that where frequently the woman would just wear a suit, a nice suit.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I do like the idea. I mean, wedding dresses are pretty. It's it's probably fun to walk around in one for a day and pretend you're, I don't know, some Disney princess.
Right.
But it's a lot of money for something you're wearing
one time. Yes. My mother actually made hers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I tried to make mine. Was very unsuccessful and had to take it to a seamstress.
But hey, you cut out the pieces.
Yeah, I did, and I basted them together. Yes.
That
counts. So the groom, Jim Browner, he lifts up the bride out of the carriage. It's a young and dashing Kieran Hines. So he's Julius Caesar in the series Rome, which cannot recommend enough. Mance Rayder in Game of Thrones, Roy Bland in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Claudius in the Benedict Cumberbatch performance of Hamlet, Aberforth Dumbledore in the final Harry Potter movie, and a thousand other things.
Yeah, he was in a season of Prime Suspect, I believe.
Yeah, probably. He's also the father of Aoife Hines, who played Mei Chung, the exchange student in Derry Girls, who was hilariously not from China, but from Donegal. But yeah, she's biracial. Her mother is Thai or Vietnamese. Yeah. Anyway, and she looks nothing like her father. The bride, Mary Cushing, is played by Lucy Wybrow, who has not been in much on the screen. She's more noted for being a stage actress. At the reception hall for retired naval officers, so Jim is a sailor, the couple are sitting at the top table by an enormous cake, and they're chatting with their guests. They cut the cake, and then Mary tosses her bouquet to her sister Sarah, who curtsies after catching it. Meanwhile, an old sailor is talking to the third Cushing sister, Susan. She is played by Joanna David, who is married to Edward Fox and is the mother of Freddie and Amelia Fox. So Freddie was in Slow Horses, a Spider. He's also in House of the Dragon. Amelia has starred in the series Silent Witness since 2004. So anyway, this cast is stacked. And Joanna David also played the second Mrs. De Winter in the 1979 miniseries Rebecca, where Maxim was played by Jeremy Brett. So it brings them together again, which is nice.
Yeah.
You must be the other Miss Cushing, the sailor is saying. Isn't this a happy day then for all three of you? Yes, it is. Of course it is, Susan says. But it doesn't seem like such a happy day. The bridal party sits for a photograph, but everyone kind of looks a little bit troubled. The vibe is off. Later, the couple is settled in a ground floor apartment or a row house by a Christmas marketplace. Sarah is outside at one of the stalls listening to a music box as Jim and Mary come outside, and she watches them walk up the street, and she gives a little smile. At 221B, Holmes and Watson are each reading a newspaper and puffing on pipes. It's a classic scene. Body snatchers strike in North London, Holmes is saying. Are we dealing with a modern version of Burke and Hare? Burke and Hare were so-called resurrection men in Scotland in 1828. So Conan Doyle would have known intimately about this, who would remove corpses from graves or morgues and sell them to professors at med schools. Edinburgh at the time was leading the world in anatomical studies, but Scottish law dictated that any cadavers under study could only come from suicides, those who died in prison, or orphans with no traceable family.
And there weren't enough of those to meet the demand. So there was this quiet underground trade between grave robbers and professors at medical schools.
Yes. But Burke and Hare took things one step later.
Why not just dig up a grave when you can just make a corpse?
Right. They murder people. Burke was eventually caught, executed, and then publicly dissected at the University of Edinburgh. Hare served time and was ultimately released, but he disappeared into obscurity. Well, sadly, the anatomy schools don't need the help of body snatchers at this time of year, Watson says. They're well stocked with corpses from the poorhouses. Which, awful.
Yeah.
What do you think then? Holmes asks. I don't know. Some outlandish cult, perhaps? Have you been consulted on the subject, Holmes? Just then, there's a knock at the door, and Holmes shouts, "Come in, Hawkins!" Mrs. Hudson lets Inspector Hawkins into the sitting room. Holmes burbles at him to sit down and have coffee, and Watson gets up to pour it for him. Have you brought those descriptions? Holmes asks. Yes, I have, Hawkins says, pulling out his notebook. Bodies so far exhumed. Albert Cotter, 48. Fish Porter of Shadwell, heart disease. Martin Rubery, 54, cirrhosis of the liver. We don't know much about him except he was thought of as an amateur pugilist of some sort during his youth. Jimmy King, 39, Covent Garden Porter, cerebral hemorrhage. You will continue your researches, Holmes asks. If you say so, Mr. Holmes. I do say so, and keep your eye on the premises of a certain Murdoch gull. Yes, Murdoch, do you think? Hawkins asks. He's the fence for anything out of the ordinary. He could be our man, Holmes said.
We have a corpse. What would you like to buy it for?
Well, yeah, I mean, a fence is someone who receives stolen goods and redistributes them.
Yeah.
One more thing, Mr. Holmes. The men and I would be very honored if you'd drop by on Christmas Eve. We try to get a bit festive at Christmas, and we'd like to invite a few guests.
I suspect Holmes would rather die than do that.
Well, he says Christmas, and then the scene cuts out. Back at the Christmas market, Susan walks into Mary and Jim's apartment, lodgings, whatever. She calls for Mary, but gets no answer. At 221B, Mrs. Hudson is very cheerfully putting up garlands of holly. There, it's a start, she says, climbing down from a stepladder as Holmes reads at the breakfast table. Mrs. Hudson, he says, how am I supposed to think of another present for Watson? I mean, every year you inflict this agony on me. Well, Mr. Holmes, you go to Gamage's. Gamage's? Yes, it's in Holborn, a departmental store. So Gamage's was real. It was in operation from 1878 to 1972. Holborn is a district of London just east of the British Museum between Covent Garden and St. Paul's Cathedral. Gamage's main attraction was a large model train that attracted visitors and tourists at Christmas time.
Oh.
Yeah. And Mrs. Hudson continues, the People's Emporium. You'll be quite spoiled for ideas. Gamage's, Holmes says, going back to his book.
I think he wasn't asking so much for where should I shop as what should I buy?
Or why should I do this?
Yeah. Why do you make Christmas come every year, Mrs. Hudson?
Exactly.
Why do you keep doing this to me?
Then he looks up and he shouts, Mrs. Hudson, how dare you take my aspidestra? And she turns to face him and she's holding the plant pot in her hands. It's a giant plant. I do dare, she says, and she leaves the sitting room.
I love her.
Me too. Susan Cushing rides a hansom cab to a large house, her house, where a postman is just leaving. Season's greetings, he says to her. Good afternoon, Wilkinson, she replies. Looks like we're in for a bit more snow before long, he says. I do hope not, she tells him, and then goes inside. Setting her things down, she goes into the kitchen. A young man in a shirt and waistcoat is seated at the table having breakfast. What is this, Monsieur Jacotet? She asks. And he rises with a half smile. Madame Suzanne. This actor is Thierry Harcourt, and this is his first role.
Oh,
yeah. Our arrangement was that you might sit by the parlor fire after dinner. Otherwise, I'd be obliged when you are in the house to keep to your room.
Arrangement is that you not exist.
Right. And pay me money. Your sister Sarah gave me permission, madame, he says. This is my house, not my sister's, even if she said it, which I doubt. You doubt my word, the young man says. I would be most surprised if my sister gave the run of the kitchen to my lodger. Monsieur Jacotet gets up from the table. You'd be surprised what your sister gives. Very surprised. He puts on his jacket. I think I'd be obliged if you left the kitchen now, monsieur, Susan says, very emphatically. I don't think you hear what I'm saying, he says. At which point Sarah bounds into the kitchen smiling. Oh, Marcel, she says to Monsieur Jacotet, and she turns to her sister. Oh, Susan, it has worked. They have made me warden at the mission. Now you ask her what she gave me, Marcel said.
Pussy, we get it. She gave him pussy.
Did you give Monsieur Jacotet permission to help himself in here, in the kitchen, Susan asks. Sarah smiles a little. I believe I did once, she says. I didn't realize. Ask her, insists Marcel. What do you mean? What's going on? Sarah says. Ask her. He shakes his head. You English are such hypocrites. Now you tell her what you gave me. What? Sarah says, incredulous. Hang on, I just lost my place. Okay. What is this all about? Susan asks. Will someone please tell me what's going? Marcel lunges at Sarah and then kisses her deeply. Sarah wriggles out of his embrace and goes behind Susan, wiping her mouth and looking very guilty. Susan looks back and forth at the two of them. I see. Very well. You are warden now, she says to Sarah. Go and live there then. You have quarters at the mission. Go there. I don't want you under my roof. Go. I won't have you here. I won't.
Wow, what a bitch. This is my note here.
Yes. She does seem a little bit joyless.
Yeah.
She whirls around to Marcel. As for you, monsieur, you will leave my house immediately. Immediately, or I will call the police. He goes into the hallway and grabs his overcoat, and she follows him. Your belongings will be packed and left at the tradesman's entrance for your collection. As he leaves, Susan says to Sarah, how dare you? You sound exactly like Mother, Sarah responds. Sarah is played by Deborah Finley, who's been in a bunch of stuff, including an episode of Inspector Lewis.
Oh.
Which, of course, stars Lawrence Fox, who is the nephew of Edward Fox, who was married to Joanna David, who plays Susan.
We're not really fans of him and
Of Lawrence
this
Fox?
podcast. No.
No. No, he's crazy.
Yeah.
He's what MAGA would be if MAGA was British.
Yeah.
And most of his family won't have anything to do with him. Lawrence's sister, and I forget her name, is married to Richard Ayoade, who was in the IT Crowd.
Oh.
As Moss. Yeah. He's in a lot of like comedy shows. He does a travel show. I like him a lot. Anyway. And what if I do, Susan says. I thought I'd heard the last of that sort of thing when she died, Sarah says. How dare you talk about Mother like that? It's just as well I am like her. I don't know what would happen to this family otherwise. Oh, you hold us all together, do you? How splendid you are. And Sarah starts up the stairs. Do you realize that Mary has gone away without telling anyone? Susan calls after her. Sarah turns around. Good. She's showing some spirit at least. You call that good? Sometimes I think you're not just feckless. I think you're deliberately irresponsible. Mary is a married woman. Well, no thanks to you, Sarah says. You stood in her way to the last. Jim Browner was never good enough for our family, was he? The daughters of Major Cushing, R.E. Never mind that he was a gambling wastrel. Our father was a... Be quiet, Susan says. If anyone has disgraced this family, it's me? I warn you, Sarah says. One day of this diet of respectability is going to make you ill. And she turns around and goes up the stairs. And yes, Susan does have a big stick up her butt.
Yeah. I have a note sort of along those lines. If you look at their outfits, Susan's is very tight-fitting. And the green dress that Sarah wears looks so much more comfortable because it's a bit looser.
Right. And it's she's buttoned up like completely.
Yeah. Susan, yeah.
Yeah. RE, by the way, refers to the Royal Engineers, which is essentially tech support for the British Army. You are so horrid, Susan whispers. At 221B, Holmes whisks in the front door carrying a large package wrapped in brown paper, and he's humming. Mrs. Hudson is there to greet him. The doctor has someone with him, she says, a Miss Susan Cushing. Oh, well, you better hold on to this, he says, shoving his package at her and going up the stairs. And Mrs. Hudson smiles because the package has a Gamages stamp on it.
Like, I can't wait to see what monstrosity he buys Watson this year.
Also, he took my advice. Barreling into the sitting room, Holmes stops short and points. What's that? There's a small evergreen tree in a pot on the breakfast table. That is a Christmas tree. It's a Norway spruce, Watson says. This is Miss Cushing. Sarah Cushing is sitting on the wicker couch. Miss Cushing is concerned about her sister, Mrs. Browner. Holmes goes over to his chemistry table. Pray continue, he says. Miss Cushing's younger sister lives not far from her, just east of Camberwell, Watson continues. Camberwell's in South London.
Yeah, I really wish the two sisters were given very different names because Sarah and Susan, I keep mixing up who's who.
Same.
It's awful.
Oh my God. I can't tell you how often I had to like toggle back and correct.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Susan's the one who slept with the lodger, right?
Sarah's the one who slept with the lodger.
Okay.
Susan's rude. Yeah. Mrs. Browner visits her every Friday for tea unless she sends excuses, which is most unusual. Watson takes a breath. Holmes has sat down at his chemistry table and is opening a wooden box. Inside are some pine cones and some baubles, presumably to decorate the tree with. Last Friday, the 19th, Mrs. Browner failed to send excuses or to arrive, so Miss Cushing has made inquiries at her lodgings, but Mrs. Browner has not been seen there since last Thursday. Holmes is taking out the ornaments from the box and placing them at various points on his table. Sounds to me as though she has disappeared, Holmes says. Evidently, Holmes. There could be one or two reasons for her disappearance. Yes, I know. Either because she wished to disappear or because someone else wished her to disappear. Watson says, somewhat.
Accidents are possible. Maybe she tripped and fell into a canal. Who knows?
He turns to Susan. Do you know why anyone else would wish her to disappear? Mary? None. Meanwhile, Holmes is placing ribbons around his beakers and bottles.
He decorated his chemistry setup. I love it.
It's so cute. She is the most lovable creature. Everyone loves her. As to her whereabouts, I suggest you try the Missing People's Agency, Holmes says, capping one of his bottles with an ornament. I could find you a list of addresses, Watson says. There. Oh, Holmes has successfully decorated his chemistry set. He stands back from the table, pleased with himself. Charming, isn't it? A slight improvement over that sad Pasea Excelsa, and he gestures at the spruce. And Susan really does not know what to make of him. Outside the mission, Marcel is confronting Sarah, who is irritated. What possessed you? You've wrecked it all, she's saying. The waiting possessed me, Marcel says. You drive me mad, Sarah. Sometimes I think I am possessed. Where are you now? She asks. Some filthy hole near the hospital. Thanks to your sister. I will not let her forget this. And Sarah takes a deep breath. You'll need a reference if you're going to find a decent place to stay. Are you going to Belgium still for Christmas? Yes, my uncle near Ostend. Well, when you come back, I'll write a reference for you. I'm warden of this place. It'll count. I love you, Marcel says. Sarah does not respond to this. Heading back inside, she only says, come to me after Christmas. At Susan's house, she's working on embroidery, and her sewing basket is quite ornate with blue velvet cushioning holding a pair of gold scissors. I'm like, I need that. I want that. There are carolers outside. The house is all decorated with garlands and greenery and red ribbons. The postman knocks, and then a maid comes in with bundles wrapped in paper. Shall I put the parcels under the tree? She asks Susan. Yes, please, Susan says, and she's sorting through the letters that also came in the mail. The maid puts the packages under the Christmas tree, fending off Susan's little dog, who is very nosy about the presents, and turns to Susan. Nothing from Mrs. Browner yet? Nothing as yet, no. Did Snugden's include the Madeira in their delivery today? Yes, Miss Cushing, everything's ready for this evening, the maid said.
Madeira is a kind of wine.
It's sherry.
Is it?
Yeah. And Snugden's is fictional. I try to chase down everything because I want to know. That night, guests begin arriving at Susan's for a Christmas party. The snow is falling abundantly outside. A man with mutton chop sideburns makes his way across the room. I say, Miss Cushing, he says to Susan, I dare say your sister Sarah will be joining us. I'm afraid not, Mr. Bradbook, she tells him. She's warden of the mission hostel now. Her duties to her residents will keep her there. I shall see her only on Sundays now, I fear. And Mr. Bradbook looks sad. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mr. Bradbook, Susan says. Oh, no, you haven't. He lies. Not at all.
I hear she gives out really easily.
It's Christmas. Where's my present? Come now, Mr. Bradbook. It's Christmas Eve. To make up, we shall open our presents from under the tree straight after supper instead of at midnight. What do you say? Oh, very well. Fine. Yes, splendid. Let's do that. Gladstone will be pleased, at least, Susan says, looking down at her dog, who is sniffing around the packages at the foot of the tree. There's a treat somewhere for him.
There was a dog in the Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
Was he also named Gladstone?
Named Gladstone. It's so funny. He was a big bulldog.
Yeah. He was cute. I liked him.
Yes. So IKEA used to sell these big bulldog stuffed toys.
Oh.
And Olivia bought one. My youngest bought one once when we were there, and she named him Gladstone after the movie.
Aw.
And I explained to her who Gladstone actually was. So she learned a lot about prime ministers that day. Holmes and Watson arrive at the police station for the party there. A man wearing a top hat and a coat with a fur collar clocks them as they come inside. Hawkins is delighted to see them as they head upstairs. Gull, Holmes asks Hawkins, has he been arrested? So that's who this man was. No, Mr. Holmes, he's come to complain. He spotted our surveillance on him and he doesn't like it.
I love that, though. Hey, can you stop following me?
I'll sit here and wait. You won't give up, Holmes asks. Dear me, no, Hawkins says, ushering them into a room where men are laughing and drinking.
Holmes was dragged to the party.
He was. At Susan's, she's opening one of the parcels that came in the mail, looking a little puzzled. It's a cardboard box filled with what looks like salt and a pair of human ears. She faints, falling to the floor. The next morning, Holmes appears to be trying to start a fire when Watson knocks at the sitting room door. He comes in. He's holding his arms wide. He's wearing a large green tweed sort of cape.
Poncho.
Cloak. Yeah, poncho, button to the top.
It's about the size of a tent.
It is, yes.
It never let Holmes buy presents unsupervised.
No. Oh, my dear fellow, you're wearing it, Holmes says, delighted. I had to try it. What's so good about it is that it stretches forward over the handlebars if you need it. Watson demonstrates. Where on earth did you find it? And Holmes laughs. Gamages, the People's Emporium. Thank you, Watson says. Magnificent, Holmes says.
I just love the idea of Watson going, oh God, what is it this time? Opening it up, laughing hysterically, and then going, okay, let me put it on. I have to see what this looks like on me.
And also, oh yeah, it could be useful if I have to bike to the surgery in the cold. I mean, I was imagining, what if this thing gets wet? It's going to weigh a ton.
Yeah. Yeah, he's never wearing this again.
No, never.
Possibly if he decides to go camping, he can use it as a tent.
Yes. Just then, Hawkins knocks on the open door and Holmes tells him to come in. Please sit down. What is the news of the grave robberies? Hawkins sits on the wicker couch. The Camberwell force have been on to me. An incident down there. They were wondering if it had any connection. I don't think it does myself, but I'd value your opinion, Mr. Holmes. We need to get this nasty little joke solved and out of the way. Joke? Watson asks. Respectable lady, in company, opening her parcels Christmas Eve. One of them's a bit odd. It's full of salt. She empties out the salt. What's in it? 2 freshly severed human ears. We think it was a medical student. She had a medical student as a lodger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Post-mortem anatomy can make certain individuals thoroughly callous, Watson says. She threw him out just before Christmas, Hawkins says. Bit of a row, apparently. Anyway, knowing your methods, Mr. Holmes, I've had the ears left quite untouched at the lady's house, which is, and he consults his notebook, Trafalgar Villa, Camberwell, a Miss Susan Cushing. And Watson stares at Holmes. That afternoon, Hawkins, Holmes, and Watson are let into Susan's house by the maid. Susan meets them in the foyer. Oh, Mr. Holmes, have you come to help me find Mary after all, she says. I'm afraid not, Miss Cushing. The inspector here has asked me to look into that other unfortunate business. Oh, that. Well, I won't have those things in the house, Mr. Hawkins. If you wish to see them, you must go to the conservatory. Have you arrested that wretched young man yet? Out in the conservatory, the men are examining the brown paper wrapper that had enclosed the box. Postmark Harwich, Holmes notes. Harwich is a port town in the county of Essex, about 90 minutes from London by train. Now, this student fellow Jacotet was going home for Christmas to Ostend via Harwich. Yes, I agree, Holmes says. Harwich is persuasive. The handwriting is poor, uneducated. I know the medical profession is notorious for its illegibility, but this, done with a broad-nibbed pen, very inferior ink. Holmes examines the string that bound the package. Tarred twine. Stockholm tar, he says, sniffing it. Knots intact. He opens the box and tastes the salt.
What?
Do you know what that's been adjacent to?
Yeah.
Rock salt, he says, and embedded in it, These very singular enclosures, Watson says. What do you think of it, Watson? Holmes asks. A ring has been torn from this ear. They're not a pair, Watson says. I suppose it was easier for Jacotet to have abstracted the ears from a dissecting room, which were not actually a pair. To what purpose? Holmes asks. I don't know. Some kind of disgusting practical joke, Watson says.
Those kinds of jokes used to be common with medical students, and until fairly recently, I remember reading some doctors' memoirs that were published in the 1970s, and they talked about doing this sort of thing with the corpses they were dissecting. I think now you can get expelled for that.
I was going to say, you must be shitting me. Wow.
I'm not joking. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Also, if you look around at the conservatory, it's clearly where they keep all of their dead plants.
Yes. Gentlemen, this is no practical joke, Holmes says. What first strikes you when you enter a dissecting room? Formaldehyde, damn it. It should smell of formaldehyde, Watson says. And it does not, Holmes says. This is no practical joke. This is a serious crime. So I'm going to digress a tiny little bit. In the early 2000s, when I was trying to get my consulting business off the ground, I taught English as a second language to a pair of sisters from the Republic of Georgia. And this was, like not too long after the wall fell in 89, right? So they were taking turns caring for a woman with dementia who spent most of her time in bed. So I'd go over to this woman's house and I would teach them there while she was languishing in the bedroom. The elder of the two sisters had been in med school in Tbilisi before coming to the US.
Wow.
And she told me when it came time for their anatomy classes, the school filled a swimming pool with formaldehyde and dumped the cadavers in. And the students had to fish them out with ropes and things.
Oh.
And I'm, a swimming pool full of cadavers.
Why?
I know. I know. This story haunts me. And formaldehyde is strong.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine the eye-watering stench in that pool room. Oh my God. Anyway, that's my formaldehyde story. Meanwhile, Susan is back at her embroidery in the parlor when the maid comes in. Your sister, Miss Cushing, she says. Mary, at last. Susan sets down her needlework and gets up from her chair. Mary, quite contrary. But it's Sarah. Susan's face falls. I thought it was Mary. I've come to take some more of my things, Sarah says. I bought you a present before we argued. You may as well have it. She holds out a small box wrapped in brown paper. I don't want it, Susan says. What's the matter with you? Sarah asks. Is it another disgusting prank? What? He was your friend after all, Susan says. Who was? I don't want your horrid parcel. And Susan turns away from her. Take it. Let's preserve the proprieties, at least, sister. Proprieties? You dare to talk about the proprieties? You flouted the rules of society all your life, and you had the effrontery to accuse me of interfering with Mary's marrying that man? Didn't you? Sarah asks. What did you do? Susan responds. What did I do? I did nothing. You know what you did. You introduced Mary to other men, corrupting her. Mary has told me in her innocence. She accused me, Sarah asks. Mary accuses no one, Susan says. You know that. But I see your hand in her unhappiness. Nonsense, Sarah says. Why did Jim Browner start drinking again? He signed the pledge for Mary. That's what brought them together. She pinned the blue ribbon to his chest, and he was a new man. So why did he break his pledge?
That seems like not a great way for people to come together.
Thank you, yes. But there was, okay, so this is all referring to the temperance movement and the blue ribbon badge, which originated in the US, but it expanded to Canada and the UK as the temperance movement took hold there. And frankly, there's a type of personality who likes to rescue people. And I can definitely see the attraction in a man saying that he's going to be sober because your love has fixed him. And if you are as naive as Mary is purported to be, I can see how that, would have driven her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why ask me, Sarah says. Why did you quarrel with him, Susan asks. I never approved of Jim Browner, that's true, but he deserved better than to be driven back to drink by your meddling. And at this, Sarah walks out of the room. She goes upstairs, packs her remaining belongings in a carpet bag. On the nightstand, there's a book, and she picks it up, and she's crying. So then we have a flashback where Sarah is ironing one of Jim's shirts at Jim and Mary's place. As he comes through the door, swinging his duffel bag. I'm back. Hello, Sarah. Jim, Mary wasn't expecting you till much later. I managed to catch the tail end of the flood, saved a whole tide. Whatever that means, it's a sailing thing. He takes off his pea coat. So she's not here then? No, Sarah says. Old Mrs. Cooper's not well again. Mary's with her. She comes over to Jim. I said I'd help her with the laundry. She'll be back soon. And she goes past him to the front room, to the fireplace, to heat up the iron. You help her a lot, don't you? Jim says. That's nice. He's still in the laundry room washing his hands. She comes back to her ironing. You know why I help her, I suppose? What? Why I'm always around here, Sarah says. Oh,
because of you.
Well, you're her sister, Jim says, drying his hands, and he smiles at her, and then he looks searchingly out the window for his wife. Can't you be happy?
Jim is oblivious.
Completely. Can't you be happy for 5 minutes without her, Jim? Sarah asks, and Jim laughs. She hands him one end of a bed sheet. Make yourself useful, she says, and they fold the sheet together. Well, drop the other side then, she says. What? Well, you drop this and bring it up the other side, Sarah says. Mary doesn't do that, Jim says. There are plenty of things Mary doesn't do, I dare say. And she smiles flirtatiously at him. Jim looks down at his hands. He does not like the way this is going at all. Look, she continues, I'll show you how to do it, shall I? She comes over and takes his end of the sheet. Now, come on, take this corner. Now you drop this and you bring it up the other side. She's manipulating his hands as he stands behind her in such a way that he ends up inadvertently hugging her from behind.
Yeah.
At which point he recoils. You do it yourself. That's not for me. I want no part of that. He starts to leave the laundry room and has to say something to protect his masculinity. Pushing women's work at me. You keep that to yourself.
I'm a man and I pull my trousers up to my armpits.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
His trousers were so high.
Oh, so high. The bell was like practically in the middle of them.
Yeah.
And he needs to maintain the fiction that she was not coming on to him. In the present, the maid is ushering Holmes, Watson, and Hawkins to the parlor. The gentleman to see you, madam, she says. As long as they don't bring those things near me, Susan says, and Hawkins puts the box on the table in the foyer before following Holmes and Watson through the parlor door. Upstairs, Sarah finishes her packing and heads downstairs. And where is he now? Holmes is asking Susan. Mr. Browner was on the South American line when he and Mary married, but he was so fond of her that he found himself a berth on the North Sea boats, the London Dan Helder line. And is Mary fond of him? Holmes asks. It was a love match, Susan says. Love? Although, yes, Holmes presses. I was loath to acknowledge it at the time, Susan says. Why was that? Holmes asks. I didn't think a sister of mine should be marrying a steward. But now? How do you feel now? Holmes asks. I think Jim and Mary could be happy, she says. You mean they weren't? They were at first. What happened? Holmes asks.
Bitch of a sister happened.
Right. Perhaps you should ask Sarah. She practically lived there for a while. Sarah, meanwhile, is listening at the parlor door. She turns to leave, sees the box that Hawkins has left on the table, and opens it. Horrified, she drops her bag, opens the front door, and flees, leaving the door ajar and the lid to the box on the floor.
Just stealthy escape.
Which ship is Mr. Browner serving on at the moment? Holmes asks. The May morning, Susan says. She sailed on the 17th for Belgium and Holland. They were in Rotterdam over Christmas. The cruise drew lots, and Jim was unlucky this year. Mary was to have spent Christmas with Sarah and me. And now Sarah, of course, is warden at the mission, Holmes says. Are you sad not to have her living with you still? Susan lowers her eyes. Yes, I am. But to tell you the truth, Mr. Holmes, things are not well between us. You've quarreled. What about? It may have a bearing on what has happened to your sister Mary, Holmes says. I know that, Susan says. Of course it does. Do you think I don't know that? I blame her for.
Well, then could you answer the question?
I know. Oh, God. This is a rare instance where Holmes is asking a woman directly
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to anything else.
Yeah.
And she won't answer. Sarah, Holmes clarifies. Of course, Sarah, she spent far more time than was necessary at Mary's lodgings. Jim and Mary were just married, making their own life, making their own friends. Then Sarah introduced Alec Fairburn to them. I know it was not generously done. Sarah seemed to want to shame Jim Browner. I don't know what Jim had done to Sarah, but she seemed to hate him. I believe that. You believe what? Holmes asks. Ask her. She is here in the house collecting her things. Ask her if she did not mean for Mary to go off with Alex Fairburn. That's what she wanted. I know it. And here I was starting to feel like I'd missed a chapter.
Yeah.
We never see Alex Fairburn.
We see him very, very briefly at the end.
Very briefly. And I don't even think he's credited, the actor, because he has no lines. Yeah.
I was surprised we actually saw his face.
Holmes goes into the foyer. He sees the lid of the cardboard box on the floor aside Mary's carpet bag. The ears are still in salt in the box itself. Ah, the message has been received then, he says.
The message being, it's because you don't listen, Susan.
No, I'm sorry, it's Sarah. In a cafe, Jim Browner is drinking a pastis. This is an anise drink that you add water to as you drink it, and it kind of turns the color of like yellow milk. It's a whole thing. He is looking very grim. A waiter gives him a cup of coffee saying, "Café, monsieur?" So he's clearly away. He's supposed to be in Rotterdam for Christmas. So he's in Europe. Holmes is coming down the stairs of the police station where he tells Hawkins sarcastically, "Thanks for your help, Inspector." It is very difficult, Mr. Holmes, Hawkins protests as Watson joins them on the landing. We can't ignore the evidence. What have we got? 2 severed ears in a parcel. We've got the medical student, Jacotet, who's been thrown out of the lady's house. Strong motive, a parcel, postmarked Harwich on the 19th. He was in Harwich on the 19th. That's as good as you can get. Your logic seems foolproof, Hawkins, Holmes says, which is a damning statement.
Yeah.
The word seems.
Emphasis on seems.
Yeah. Thank you. I just regret that I haven't been able to keep it out of the newspapers. They're running the story in tomorrow morning's first edition. They've also managed to get a hold of Miss Susan Cushing's name. Oh, she won't mind that. Poor woman, Holmes says. This other matter then, Mr. Holmes, you've clearly got some ideas on that, haven't you? Hawkins says. It is my belief that a member of Dr. Watson's profession, possibly of some distinction, has overstepped the mark, Holmes says. The corpses all belong to pugilists, amateur or otherwise. What is the unfortunate characteristic of boxers who have fought too long? Well, there can be such scarring of the brain that they behave as if they're drunk. Slurred speech, loss of memory, and so on, Watson says. They become punch drunk. Precisely, Holmes says. You mean somebody is studying the pathology of brain tissues? Watson asks. For all the best reasons, I dare say, Holmes says. And the passion for their subject has outrun their judgment, Watson says. Sir Marcus Lanyon, I'll wager a month's salary on Sir Marcus. That is precisely his specialty, and he's impatient to a fault, ruthlessly impatient. There you have it, Inspector, bellows Holmes, and he turns and walks out of the police station. And I mean, my first thought was ears. What's another characteristic of pugilists?
Yeah, exactly. That was my thought too.
Cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching some show recently where the actor had clearly been, either he had a prosthetic or he had been a boxer in a former life, because his ears were just so misshapen.
Yeah. But it looked like an earring had been pulled from one.
Right, but If you notice, Kieran Hines also wears an earring.
Oh, does he? Oh, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily a woman's earring. It could be a sailor's earring. Jim Browner emerges from his cafe looking a bit the worse for wear. He walks out onto the street, weaving a little. At the Mission, there's a knock on the door of Sarah's quarters. A woman escorts Holmes and Watson in to see her. She's very down, the woman whispers to Holmes, like this ever since she got back here this afternoon. Miss Cushing, Holmes says, and Sarah stands up and turns to face him. Why did you quarrel with your brother-in-law, Mr. Browner? What? Who are you? What are you doing? This is Sherlock Holmes, Watson says. He is investigating the disappearance of your sister Mary. She's gone off with Alec Fairburn, that's all, Sarah says. Why? She had become frightened of her husband, Sarah tells Holmes. Why? Holmes asks again. Sarah lowers her head. Jim Browner was a drunkard. He offered her violence. He was beneath contempt. What is your explanation for the severed ears, Miss Cushing? Watson asks.
I collect them. Thank you. What, a girl can't have hobbies?
They're going on my Christmas tree. You saw that cardboard box at your sister's house? Those severed ears were meant for you, were they not? Holmes says. The message was for you. You understood what they meant. Marcel Jacotet sent them, she says. He told me he might do something. I didn't realize he'd do anything so disgusting. Holmes and Watson leave the Mission, going out into the snowy street. She's lying, Watson, Holmes says. She's lying through her teeth. In another cafe, Jim Browner is reading the newspaper, again with coffee and pasties, where the article about the ears is published, naming Susan Cushing. He looks greatly disturbed. He throws down the newspaper as well as some coins and leaves both his drinks unfinished as he rushes out of the cafe. At 221B, Watson comes into the sitting room. Gulls outside, he tells Holmes. Excellent. I've been to the shipping line offices too. And it's as you thought. The May morning set sail for London for Den Helder on the 17th. But a hogshead got loose in her hold. She sprang a plate and had to be put in for repairs.
Well, a hogshead is a large cask of liquid, mostly alcoholic beverages.
Or molasses or tobacco, I found out.
That's true.
Yeah. They weigh 1,000 pounds.
My God.
And they're rolled onto the ship up the gangplank. To Harwich, Holmes asks. To Harwich, Watson says. The crew were given leave on the 18th. The May morning left late on the 19th, the date the parcel was posted. Excellent, Watson, Holmes says. We have it. Watson then opens the door to the corridor. Murdoch Gull, the man who had noticed them in the police station, is standing outside. He comes in and says, Mr. Holmes?
He is a smug man wearing a mustache.
He is, but he's got chiseled cheekbones.
Yes, he does.
Mr. Gull, Holmes says. They have telegraphed, Gull says. Jim Browner came off the ferry at Ramsgate at 7 o'clock this evening. Good, Holmes says. I knew I could rely on you. So he's come back over the English Channel. And I can rely on you as well, can I? Gull says. Oh, yes, you can. Does the name Sir Marcus Lanyon mean anything to you? It might, Gull says. He will be warned off, Holmes tells him, drawing closer, and the orders from which you have been profiting will dry up. But so will the police interest in you. I'm satisfied with that, Gull says. We've acquired a bargain, Mr. Gull, Holmes says. Meanwhile, Browner is making his way along the docks, in the fog, in the night. Holmes, Watson says. Hold on, Holmes says. The knots on the parcel were a bowline and a sheet bend. Yes, sailor's knots, Watson says. Or scouting knots, if you were ever a scout. Were you a Girl Scout?
Was that?
Yeah,
No.
that was for you. Yes. I was a Girl Scout and I had to learn knots.
I picked up books of knots, like how to tie various knots, like some years ago, and then forgot most of it over the years.
Do you remember macrame? That was so
Yeah.
cute. Yeah. You know that sailors deliberately do not sharpen their knives, Holmes asks. Yes, in case of accidents. And I did not look that up to see if it was true. Hence the crude amputations. Harwich was the key, and Browner was there. And now, I suppose, Browner returned unexpectedly, found his wife with Fairburn. He followed them. He murdered them both. He severed an ear from each and sent them, he thought, to Sarah Cushing. Of course, he'll go there immediately. He will be desperate for her to know the severed ears were for her and not her sister. Well, that being the case, Watson says.
Yeah, maybe we should go there?
He's looking at a timetable. The railway is operating as if it were on a Sunday. Why? Holmes asks. Because the Christmas holiday is still on, Watson says. Do you realize Browner could have caught a much earlier train? No, I did not know, Holmes says, and he puts his head in his hands. Outside a train station, Browner is walking amid the fog. At the Mission, Sarah wakes up and says, Mary. Browner continues walking, crossing over a bridge. No idea what any of this means.
Yeah. This is called, we have to pad out the running time.
Right. At the police station, Holmes is leading Hawkins and Watson down the front steps. What is this, Mr. Holmes? Hawkins is asking. A unique experience for you, Inspector. Holmes says you may apprehend a murderer before you've even acknowledged there's been a murder. Sarah comes out of her bedroom wearing a long shawl over her nightgown, carrying a lamp. She wanders through the front room and then sees Browner off to the side in the shadows. Aye, well may you stare, he says. Look at me, Sarah Cushing. This is your handiwork. What have you done, Jim? What have I done? Aye, it's what you've done. Sarah sets the lamp down. I beg of you, Jim, look on me kindly. Whatever I did for you. It was you, he says. He moves closer. You poisoned her mind. I did it for you, she says. They've arrested.
And by you, I mean for me.
Right. Yes. Well, yeah. People like that. There is no you without me.
Yeah.
They've arrested the lodger. I told them he did it. They suspect nothing of you, Jim. You can get away. She tries to hug him, but he pushes her away. You think I can get away? He asks, and he shoves her across the room. And then he grabs her by the throat. Put it all behind me, you think, do you? Are you mad? He throws her to the floor. It is me. It's in here, every last moment of it. It comes out of the daylight at me. It goes on and on. I dare not shut an eye and sleep since I did it. I'm never without one or the other before me. May the blood rot in your veins, Sarah Cushing.
Well, then maybe you shouldn't have killed them.
You'd think. She grabs him around the waist, saying, No, I love you. I love you. I believe you do. I tell you something, I'd rather have one kind word from her I've killed than all your love. I'd rather see her breathing 1 minute more than a lifetime of what you could give me. Don't say that. And she crumples to the floor. Browner looks away. She loved me. That's the root of the business, but she knew that I thought more about my footprint in the mud than I did of her body and soul. And he's crying. Where would I have dreamt it? This is just self-pitying bullshit.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to make sense. In other words, in a prison cell, Holmes is standing by the barred window. The sun is streaming in. And after you had rejected Sarah's advances, he asks. I never said a word to Mary, for I thought it would grieve her, Browner says. Then I began to see a change in Mary herself. My wife had always been so understanding. Now she was suspicious of everything I did. We began to row about nothing at all. It maddened me. And this was said as well, Holmes says. Yes, I didn't see it then, mind. I just saw it all go wrong. She and Mary were inseparable, and then, well, I broke my blue ribbon and began drinking again. So Mary had some reason to be disgusted with me now. And then this Fairborn fellow chipped in. He was a dashing, swaggering sort of chap, smart and curled, educated too. I reckon he could talk, he could, but I know it was a little thing that put me on to them. I came into the parlor unexpected one day, and as I came in, I saw the light of welcome in my wife's eyes, but when she saw it was me, she turned away with a look of disappointment.
That's why I killed her.
Honestly, that's kind of mostly why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was no one but Alec Fairburn, whose steps you can mistake for mine. I tell you, from that moment on, my peace was gone. Sarah was in the kitchen and I went straight through and I told her if Fairburn ever set foot in my place again, I'd send her his ear for a keepsake. I believe I could wish you had committed this deed of yours in France, Holmes says, looking out the window. They acknowledge the crime of passion there. I hope that's changed. You won't let them leave me alone, will you, sir? Browner asks. No, I won't, Holmes says. When I leave, I'll send an officer in. I don't like to be alone, see? Browner says. And of course, immediately my thought went to Jeffrey Epstein. Later, a constable with a dog is leading a procession of people through a park, including Holmes and Watson, to presumably the site where Mary and Alec's bodies are. Sarah is in her bed, clutching at the covers and looking distraught. Susan, meanwhile, is in her parlor, crying. She's holding the wedding photo of Mary and Jim. The dog leads the police to the edge of a river. The men bend over the riverbank, looking into the partly frozen water. In Browner's cell, a constable is playing dominoes with him. Your turn, he tells Browner, but there's a knock on the door. The constable gets up. Won't be a minute, he says, and he leaves the room. Browner...
Time to kill yourself with your shoelace.
Well, yeah. But Browner looks up at an apparition of Mary. She made it go wrong, didn't she, Mary says, and you never thought of anyone but me, did you, Jim? She loved you and she made me hate you. She crouches down and pins a blue ribbon to his lapel. There, it's as if she had a secret, you see. She made me think the worst. The secret was her loving me, Jim asks. You should have got rid of her from our lives, Jim, she says. I know, he says. I thought it would hurt you. Look at us now. I was stupid, blind as a beetle. Mary puts her hand on his face and then recedes. Tears rolling down his cheeks, Jim stares after her. She disappears through the wall of the cell into the park where the police dog has stopped. He's watching her, walking with Alec, and he's remembering. He picks up a piece of wood, comes behind them, and swings. Her body falls in the river. Alex hangs over the edge. Jim takes out his knife, and that's the end of the memory. You don't see the ears getting chopped off.
And you don't actually see the act. Like, you see him swing, and then they
are lying down.
Yeah, they do it almost like the show Homicide: Life on the Street, where you just see that thing over and over and over again.
Oh my God, I love that show.
Yeah, that was a really good show.
That was pre The Wire. It was a
David Simon production.
Yes. Yep. So that's the end of his memory. The police are carefully breaking up the ice in the river, sweeping the snow away, and they find Mary's body, her face, staring up at them through the ice. What is the meaning of it, Watson? Holmes asks as they watch the police at their work. What is this object of misery and violence and fear? It must have a purpose, or our universe has no meaning. And that is unthinkable. But what purpose? That is humanity's great problem.
Free will sucks.
For which reason, so far, has no answer. And there's a final shot of Mary staring through the ice, and the credits roll. So...
And we end the show on that happy note.
Oh my God. Jeremy Brett had 2 minor roles after this. He had a small part in a movie called Mad Dogs and Englishmen, which he disliked. He said, I was the mad one to do it. He told this to David Stewart Davis. But I wanted to show the world while I was still alive and I could do other things apart from Sherlock Holmes. I hope they don't release it. They did. But it sank like a stone. And as Davies says, if you see it on the shelves of your video store, leave it there. He also had a bit part in a production of Moll Flanders, which only involved a day of filming for him. His health went up and down, but due to the drugs he was on for his heart, he was uninsurable. Yeah. He tried desperately to stop smoking, but he could not. Before he died, he was smoking a pack and a half a day. And he was staying inside so he wouldn't get caught out by the paparazzi. He died in his sleep in September of 1995 at the age of...
There are worse ways to go.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, my dad also died in 1995. He went in a worse way. In 2007, a tree was planted in his honor on Clapham Common, near where he used to live, and there's a plaque on a nearby bench. So next time I go to London, I'm going to go see it.
Oh,
One
that's
of the,
really sweet. I like that.
yeah, yeah. One of the last things he told Dame Jean Conan Doyle was, "The only thing I have in common with Sherlock Holmes is a kind of enthusiasm. Mine is for life, his is for work." While he never won any British awards for his portrayal of Holmes, which
Okay.
is fucking criminal,
Yeah.
he did receive the Legion d'Honneur in 1994, which is the highest award that France can give.
Oh.
Yeah. And he's remembered in an obituary in the New York Times this way: "Mr. Brett was regarded as the quintessential Holmes, breathtakingly analytical, given to outrageous disguises and the blackest moods, and relentless in his enthusiasm for solving the most intricate crimes." And I'm sad.
Yeah.
This was a hard episode because I don't want to leave him.
Yeah. Same. Also, it's about domestic violence, which is
Well, that, yes.
topic that really pisses me off.
And you know, the instigator is really an additional woman,
Yeah.
a sister, yeah, that's the kind of pot stirring that I really cannot stand.
Yeah.
Within a family. But all the acting was great.
Yeah.
And Kieran
Hines was a pleasure to watch in terms of ability, not so much
yes,
the personality of the character.
Also, his sideburns were incredible.
Yes.
Everyone had mutton chops in this episode. No, he did a fantastic job. I just, the last time I saw him, he was being burned to death. Yeah, I need to go watch everything this man has ever done. He's from Northern Ireland. He's from Belfast, and he was in that movie Belfast by Kenneth Branagh.
Oh.
He played the grandfather. Yeah. And Judi Dench played the grandmother. So they're, he's the same age as she is, roughly. Wow. Yeah. But yeah, this was great. It was a really excellent episode to go out on.
Yes.
Because everything else in this installment, the memoirs, is pretty horrible.
It's still better than the season prior.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Yeah, the show did reach a low point. But we soldiered on. We got through it.
And it is good for, at least for us, that it did improve after that low point.
Yes.
It didn't improve a lot, but it did improve.
Well, at least in this episode, there weren't any hallucinations and like psychedelic colors and all that weird stuff that was happening in other episodes. I mean, yeah. That's a hallmark of a different director. I'll go nameless.
Mostly because we don't remember who it was.
I purged that memory from my mind. Never to be retrieved again. Wow. Any other thoughts on the episode, the series?
I still really love this series.
I know, me too.
It's so watchable. Brett is always just such a pleasure.
He's so compelling.
Yeah.
I need to go back and watch My Fair Lady.
Oh yeah, he plays Freddie.
He plays Freddie, which is a completely different role.
Yeah.
He was such a I don't know. Bombastic is the wrong word. Expressive.
Yeah.
Person. And I was reading through the end of Bending the Willow, and David Stewart Davies says he's got a whole appendix of, no, I never talked about his sexuality, for the rest of this book, but I got to address it now, I guess, because people are writing to me. And basically he said Jeremy Brett was so demonstrative to everyone, male, female, whoever, that the fact that he was bisexual is just part of his love of life in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he goes not just both ways, always. He just loves people and living and moments, and that really kind of ties into the bipolar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're on that manic, hypomanic glow,
Yeah.
everything is wonderful to you.
Yeah. Yep.
I had a friend who was undiagnosed bipolar, and when he went hypomanic, I just swooned, which is a very unhealthy response. But he was so magnetic and charismatic then. So yeah, I get it. I get it. It's just sad that he died at 61.
Yeah.
That's a month from now I'll be 61. Anyway, any other thoughts, God? It's really hard to end this one.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, it feels sad.
it does feel sad.
We reached the end, but not of our podcast.
Not of our podcast.
We are not leaving. We will be picking up a different series.
Yes. Can we tell this one? We can tell.
Yeah,
them.
we're thinking of Poirot.
Poirot. Yeah, with
Because-
David Suchet.
Yeah, because we both love David Suchet as
Yes.
Poirot. He's like, as Jeremy Brett is to Holmes, David Suchet is to Poirot.
Bingo. Yes, precisely. That's what should be our standard. That's what should be our standard. And also, we should do Marple, Joan Hicks. She
Yes.
is Miss Marple.
Yes.
So yes, maybe we should just focus on actors who fully embody the creations that the author intended.
Yeah. I also like, the actor's name is Sean Evans in Endeavor.
Oh, okay.
I
I'd be willing to do Endeavor because I haven't fully immersed myself.
I have a lot to say about Endeavor.
So we have
I understand that character so well.
we have content for years now.
We do.
Okay.
Forever.
So we're going to take some time off. You and I have to visit a little.
Yes.
And yeah, and I have a birthday coming up, and you have a birthday coming up, and all that. And I have a vacation coming up. So
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
yeah. So maybe after that, maybe midsummer.
Yeah. Definitely by mid-July.
Perfect. All right.
As we are recording this, it is the second week of May.
It's May 10th. It's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone listening who is a mother.
Mother's Day.
Maternal adjacent. Happy Mother's Day, Cat Mom.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to you.
Oh, thank you. So yes, we will be back. And the podcast will be equally as clunky and clumsy and
Full of digressions.
full of digressions. So
And probably a lot of talk about the sweaters in Poirot.
yes. Oh, Hastings.
We're both knitters.
Yeah, we are. Both of us. Oh, and Miss Lemon's varying hairstyles.
Oh yeah.
Those curls across the top are
Those
incredible.
girls.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they drive me crazy or I really like them. It's sort of both.
Same, exactly. Okay, you want to see us out?
Okay. If you have enjoyed the show and haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to support us, you can leave a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify or whatever platform allows you to leave reviews. Tell your friends and join us next time when we'll be beginning Poirot.
Yay! All right. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.